All right, this is a story in 4K. I haven't done a story in 4K in a while because I've been doing other things. You know, I'm working on a film and I was finding myself a little bit too preoccupied with stories in 4K. So I wanted to share this story today because today happens to be my father's birthday. May he rest in peace. He's no longer with us. And so I'm shooting this today with his Minolta 28mm Rokkor f2.8 lens, which is a manual lens. I hope I'm in focus right now. I kind of can't really see. I think I'm in focus right now. I think it's close, but anyway, if I'm not in focus completely, perfectly, I'm sure you'll forgive me. I hope you'll forgive me. So anyway, I want to tell you this story because it's kind of a funny story, but it's also kind of a story that gives me the opportunity to look back upon who I was in the past and to maybe see if I have become a better person or improved as a human being, because this story is a good example of how pride and hubris sometimes it made me kind of an asshole back in the day and kind of a stupid person. So what am I talking about? A long time ago, I made my first trip to London when I was in the music business in my former life. My friend Bob Cuttarella got me an opportunity to represent the United States in a pretty big music festival in what was Yugoslavia at the time. That's how old I am. I was very young at the time, but I got to represent the United States in this big festival. There were going to be musical artists there from all over the world. And the other cool thing was we were going to get to stop in London for a while, which was really cool. I had never been overseas. I mean, I'd been all over the country at that time, but I had never been overseas. So anyway, we start preparing for the trip. This guy named George Butler was the guy who gave me the gig, who was like a famous producer of a lot of, you know, great Warner Brothers artists, George Benson, you know, just a lot of great people. So anyhow, before I'm leaving on the trip, I'm sitting in my apartment with my girlfriend Debbie at the time, and I had borrowed my father's camera for this trip. Now, my father had just recently passed away before I left, and Debbie said to me, "Do you want me to load the camera?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? You think I don't know how to load a camera?" She's like, "Well, you know, you've never owned your own camera. I don't ever see you using a camera, so I know how to use cameras. I could load the camera." I'm like, "Yo, I know how to load a camera, okay? I'm not stupid." She goes, "I'm not saying you're stupid, but I know how to load a camera." So I'm cool. I take off the next day, armed and loaded with my camera. I had about, I don't know, 10 rolls of film, and just ready for this, you know, life-altering trip that I was about to endeavor upon. So anyway, we stopped in London first. Now, the night before I left, I had a gig at a club called Mikkel's because I had a band at the time. And Mikkel's was like this legendary club and also happened to be like my favorite place on the planet Earth. So anyway, the night before I did a gig, and a friend of mine named Johnny Kemp, who you might know, is a great singer, great songwriter. May he rest in peace too, sadly. He happened to be at the club that night. So we hung out a little bit. You know, he's always joking with me, trying to get me to play in his band. I think he thought I was a much better keyboard player than I actually was. But you know, I was doing my own thing, so I didn't want to really play in anybody else's band at that time. But we always had a good time joking around. He was an amazing performer, like one of the most amazing performers I've ever known in my life, and really an inspiration for me. So anyway, we saw each other. A couple of nights before that, I got to see an artist named Hugh Masekela perform at Mikkel's, who is a great artist, legendary artist. You probably everybody who's watching this knows him. He's a great artist from South Africa, a percussionist, you know, legendary, like Hall of Fame music legendary. So I saw him too. So anyway, I'm going all over the place with this story. I get to London with Cuttarella, and we get to our hotel. And sorry if I'm shaking a little bit. It is freezing out here again. I keep picking these cold days to do these videos. So anyway, we get to the hotel, and we walk in, and who's the first person I see in a hallway in this hotel? I'm in London, Hugh Masekela. He's playing in London, it turns out. And so I just seen him 2 days before, and here he is in London. So we laugh, we joke about it, you know, and pretty funny. So Cuttarella, you know, Cuttarella and I, we put our stuff away, we head off to a club. We go to a place called Stringfellows. And Cutterella was friends with this guy named Peter Stringfellow who owned the club. And I think he also owned a place called, I can't remember this place that I played at. But anyway, that's not important. We get to Stringfellows and we walk in and they're playing a song of mine called Shining Star. And I'll play it in this video just so you know what I'm talking about. But they're playing my song, which is kind of really exciting for me. It's like a packed club. I'm in England and I'm hearing my song and the DJ is like hooking me up. But I also see some guy at the DJ station like really animated. It looks like he's screaming at the DJ. I see like braids flying around. It's this guy, you know, little short guy. And so I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know, so I run up there to see what's happening. And this guy turns around, you know, I'm like, yo, what's happening? The DJ looks at me, waving at me because he recognized who I was. And then this little guy just grabs me and screams, rock! And it was Johnny Kemp. Johnny Kemp was in London doing a gig. And we flew there on the same flight, and we didn't even know we were on the same flight. So I don't know how we didn't see each other, but we happened to be there at the same time. So that was a crazy thing too. All right, let me break in here for a quick second and just explain this whole Johnny Kemp thing. So why was Johnny Kemp yelling and screaming at this DJ? He was up there screaming, yo, do you have the rights to these songs? You know what? Somebody should be licensing this. My friend Rock Wilk owns this song. He should be getting paid for this. Is he getting paid for it? Like he's screaming at this DJ because he was concerned that I was getting ripped off because he didn't know I was coming to London. He didn't know anything. So he just thought that something devious was happening, something, you know, improper, that I was not getting paid for my work. So I just wanted to clear that up. So what does all this have to do with my father and cameras and gear and all this kind of stuff? So I think I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm using my father's Minolta 28mm f2.8 Rokkor lens, which is a manual lens. I have to do everything without the, you know, magic of the camera. And so, you know, I wanted to document everything on this trip. I mean, it was an amazing trip. Got my camera. I'm taking pictures of everything, right? And so I got pictures of Hugh Masekela, I got pictures of Johnny Kemp, I got pictures of everything, you know, and now we're headed to Yugoslavia to do this music festival. There are going to be musical artists there from all over the world, you know. I remember this one woman named Wei Wei, who was like the Whitney Houston of China at the time. And so anyway, we get there and it's a fantastic festival, you know, it's a really, really magical experience. I get to perform. It's on some national TV show there. It's in front of a lot of people in this big TV studio. It's just really cool, you know. Plus, we were in Belgrade at the time, which, you know, was really interesting because that country was about to fall. There was a lot of political unrest going on at the time, and so we got there just before this hotel was just trashed, like bombed. A few days, I guess, a few months after we left. Anyway, I got pictures of everything. I had pictures of, you know, Belgrade when it was still intact. I got pictures of this old man who we became friends with who did not speak a word of English, but somehow, you know, we kind of befriended one another. And, you know, I met him at a flea market, I remember. And this flea market was just crazy. You know, it was like they were selling t-shirts and socks and pigs, like entire pigs hanging from hooks at a flea market. So it was just an incredible, you know, cultural experience for me. Oh my God, I am freezing. So, unbelievable experience, was fantastic. I got pictures of everything. And the amazing thing was this camera that my father had, this Minolta, I'll show it to you when I get home. I'll take pictures of it in, you know, video and add it to this video. I just noticed that it just went on and on and on, like I didn't have to switch the film. So, you know, obviously I had a fresh roll of film when I got there, but I couldn't believe I was taking so many pictures, but I never had to switch, you know, to a new roll of film. So the trip ends, Cutterell and I go home. I get home to my apartment, talking to Debbie, we're talking about the trip, and she goes, you know, I'm really excited about it, and I'm explaining everything to her, and she goes, so did you get pictures of everything? I said, of course. She goes, let me see the camera. I said, okay. And I said, you know, it was crazy though. She goes, what was crazy? I said, well, what was crazy was that I just was like taking pictures for the whole trip. And I was gone for like 3 weeks. Taking pictures for the whole trip, and I never had to switch the film. She's like, what are you talking about? Would you take like 16 pictures? I was like, no, I mean, I took hundreds of pictures, as a matter of fact. She's like, let me see the camera. I said, why? She goes, let me see the camera. So I give her the camera, and I said, you know, every time she goes, how'd you do this? And I showed her, you know, I hit the shutter, and then I moved this arm forward, and then the numbers progressed. She goes, Rock. She opens it up. There's no film in the camera. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you idiot. There is no film in the camera. The numbers were just progressing, but there was no film. There was nothing happening. That's why the numbers just kept getting higher and higher, because there was nothing in there. I'm like, so I didn't get any pictures? She goes, yeah, you didn't get any pictures. Yeah, so this is a good look back at who I was at that time in my life. This kid filled with hubris and pride and stupidity, where I wouldn't let somebody kind enough to help me. Somebody who was willing to make sure that I was going to be okay. Somebody who wanted to take care of me. I have no pictures of the greatest trip of my life. One of the most life-altering, amazing experiences that I ever had. I don't have any pictures from that trip. I think Cutterella might have some pictures from it, but I have nothing. And so, thank God my father had passed shortly before that, so I wasn't completely embarrassed in front of him. But yeah, crazy. So anyway, happy birthday to my father, wherever he is, whatever that is, and wherever we go when we're no longer here. I miss him a lot all the time. I often think, man, if he knew that I was doing what I'm doing now, working with cameras and stuff, he would bug out. You know, I was just like a jock my whole life, an athlete, you know, and a musician, and he had no idea that we actually had something in common. Pretty amazing. So anyway, yeah, it's a story in 4K. This is shot in 4K. I've been shooting everything at 1080 lately. And thanks for watching, and I'll get back to my regular videos on the next one, and I'll try not to embarrass myself anymore after this video and moving forward in my life. I guess the moral is stay open, stay humble, and listen to the people that care about you.